welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is called a PEG tube, PEG tube. It goes from my nose to my stomach, so it kind of goes through my nose, throat, food pipe, and to my stomach because I have dysphagia as a result of a decline in my dystonia, which is extremely complicated. So the first thing that you should know, if you have an active eating disorder, I advise you not to watch this video. As an ex-eating disorder patient, I do understand how the mindset of someone with an active eating disorder would trick them into believing, okay, this is safe to watch, and it would trigger a whole set of bad behaviors, which I hope you would be keeping yourself safe, because there will be a lot of numbers mentioned in the video, but that's not for the purpose of inspirational stuff. So be safe. So yesterday was my first meeting with the dietitian to supervise the PEG tube. And what happened is I went to the appointment. Of course, it took time to get there. It took time to wait and see the doctor. But because of all this, even though, yeah, you can see me somewhat okay, because somewhat my voice is clearer than the previous time, I'm getting used to the tube, which is fabulous. It does not really push into my nose like it used to, but it still does. And I know my voice sounds weird, but anyways. So by the time that I arrived to the appointment, I was in deep agony. My cervical dystonia was flaring up so bad. My neck was diverted to the left and downward. So when the dietitian tried to take my height and weight, she was unable to because I could not lift my head up for her. And she was like, is your height 160? And I was like, obviously not, because I cannot lift my head up, and my height is like 163, 165, something around that, because I believe it's 165, not 163. They took it wrong anyways. So she weighed me, and because I was wearing my boots on, it's really difficult to take them off and on. She weighed me with them, and I weighed 39 kilos. And she was like, okay, 39. I was like, yeah, keep that number. It was like, okay, -2, 37. I was like, why? You know? I was like, I'm desperate to make this number go up. And I also need to mention, it's not even 37 yet, because even though I'm eating more and I'm having more feed, my body is not used to food, which will bring me to what happened to the session in a minute. I still am not really used to food, which makes me kind of like bloated in a way, and what do you call it, like a water retention. My body is like, okay, so there's stuff coming in, and we wanna hold on to those stuff because we don't know if she'll ever eat again, and that's called starvation mode, because the body is like, oh yay, food finally, you know. So that's the whole point of what we call gentle refeeding. And as an ex eating disorder patient, Gentle refeeding is one of the concepts for people who have been maintaining a very low weight for a while, and it's kind of dangerous to go and tell them go eat 5,000 calories, just gain weight. You can't do that because the body got used to such a low weight for a very long time, and when you go and eat that much, the heart is like, oh my god, what do I do with it? And the body is like, oh my god, we're going to store this as fat. And it's very problematic. That's why bulimia, which is binge eating large quantities, or just like the binge eating disorder, is really hard on the body, even though people only think of eating disorders as people are so thin, which is not true. People can have an eating disorder and they can have a healthy weight. They would be having an active eating disorder, binging, purging, excessive use of laxative, uh, excessive exercising, but because of continuous binging, the weight would not be going down that much, but it's taken a toll on the body. So back to the gentle refeeding. She put me as a start on 1,000 calories of a new feed. I'm currently taking this. I need to warm my voice throughout the video so I can keep talking, which is this, and it's in Hebrew, I understand, but it says Ensure Plus. Oh, okay, this is English, but I'm not sure if it's going to focus. I hope I can zoom in. Anyways, it says Ensure Plus, and it's not like the regular Ensure, because I believe the regular Ensure has 300 calories and less vitamins and minerals, and this has kind of more. This is what I'm currently taking, but she prescribed something called, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Nutren, and it's unflavored, and this is like, it's chocolate, but ugh, if you've seen the short of me having this, it looks like freaking cement. And it doesn't even taste that nice. And it doesn't even smell that nice. And it's kind of heavy to the body. It's like a meal in this little bottle, even though it's 350 calories, but it's compact with a lot of minerals and stuff that can be just replacing your meal, basically. So this Nutren, she put me on it, and it's, as she described it, it has a thicker texture than the Ensure, and it has more protein. So she was like, okay, this is probably better for you. And she she looked at my blood test before she prescribed me this. And it needs a prescription, and it needs to be covered by the insurance because it's expensive, just like insurance also very expensive to get on your, just out of, without being covered by insurance. So she told me 1,000 calories as a start. And then the water intake, because we were talking about the triggers, and I was telling her, because you can see this goes through my nostril and down my throat, and you probably can see this, but every time, like I open this and I put my feed in, and my feed travels through the tube to my nose, this feeling of cold, even though it wouldn't be in a fridge, just room temperature, would trigger spasticity in my nose, the insides, in the throat, and in the food pipe. And it would make me cough, like absolutely crazy cough. and then it would lead to um, difficulties breathing, which is a huge problem to me. And I would be like, my tears, the amount of tears that I would be shedding, it's absolutely crazy. As a body reaction and reflex, because it's not really natural. So I started heating this, and I was like, is it okay to heat it? But I put it like every time I would need to put it in a glass cup and into the microwave, and for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And then even the mineral water, when I'm flushing the tube to keep it clean from clogging, which what I do in the short, as I will link it in a card, up or down, in a comment. Uh, the mineral water I use to flush so it doesn't get clogged, because it would have stuff inside, and if it gets clogged, then there's trouble, and then I would need to see a doctor. So this is about gentle refeeding. And then we talked about points, because I was like, okay, of course I go prepared. And you can see my handwriting is absolutely horrendous because of how bad my poor coordination is. And you can see it's already getting spastic, but I don't know why. I don't know why it's already getting spastic. So the first question was like, how do I shower with this? And she was like, it's perfectly fine to shower with it, which was good. And then I asked her, do I need to kind of like change the tube every once in a while? And she told me only, so because this is not a G tube, like I told you in the previous video that I will also be linking in a card or in a pinned comment. Emily Fisher, because she had multiple issues, she used to change her NG tube on her own, and she did that in front of the camera. But this is not an NG tube, and it goes directly to the stomach, and it needed an x-ray to make sure that it's not where it's not supposed to be, you know, and it's thicker than a G tube, and it's measured by like 8 French, 10 French, 12, I don't know the size of this one, but it's definitely more than 10 French, because uh, by the way, I should be googling this, and I will be putting this probably when I'm editing. And then I asked her about changing the tube. She told me I'm only to change the tube if I see that it's clogged, or when I'm having the feed, if it's not pushing inside, it may be like, okay, there's a problem and it's clogged, and I would be needed to be replaced and go back to the hospital, and I would be needing like someone to insert it again, go through this whole process of that is described, of how they place it in, the local anesthesia that they put, which was horrendous, and then get an x-ray again, the whole process. And then the changing of the tube is a signs of infection, not only just being clogged. And signs of infection, of course, it includes high fever, and it also includes kind of like redness where the tube is, especially in the abdomen. So it's something that I need to keep supervising in a way. And if the abdomen is tender or something feels weird, I should go get it checked. And then I asked her if it's okay to take my meds, if I can grind them and take them with a tube, because I am starting to have more swallowing issues. Not because of the peg tube, it's because of my dystonia acting up so horrifically, causing me inability to swallow even my pills at this point. So she was like, you can crush them, you can add them to your feed and take them with a tube, like it wouldn't get them clogged. And then we talked about the regular blood tests, which I'm supposed to be getting regular blood tests for, it's no brainer. Let's see how my blood tests are going, vitamins, minerals, like, do I have deficiencies, the whole thing. They told her, like, hey lady, I do pose an insane real challenge to every nurse who sees me. They would be shocked first at how tiny my veins are, and they are slippery. So when they think they got a vein, either for drawing blood or inserting an IV, it would slip, even at the tiniest needle, and it would take them so much time. And then I would have tremors, and when they restrain me, it would cause spasticity, and spasticity is like having your body like so hard, like wood, and it would make the nurses go, holy crap, we can't even insert a needle in this hand anymore, because they're like, can you relax? And I'm like, I can, only if my mind allows me, only if my brain allows me. And they were like, okay, we'll try again, a lot of that, which would provoke even more dystonic reaction because pain is a trigger. So yeah, I told her this, and I will be seeing her again in a month. Within this week, I was getting it was getting under my skin, if I'm saying this correctly. I'm getting a little desperate to get my weight higher as soon as possible, and I'm trying not to push myself over the edge for this, and I'm trying to avoid scales because when I had my eating disorder, you don't avoid scales. Actually, in fact, you do scale yourself like 1,000 times a day. It's the other end of the problem here, because I'm trying not to weigh myself because I don't want to push myself over the edge, trying to overfeed myself to gain weight faster. So I'm trying to avoid the weight, and it was the first time that I was weighed after the G-tube, and even though I am getting more feed, getting more nutrition, and I'm managing, since the peg tube, I'm managing more, it's not really going up the way that I want it to. It's just water weight. Because I go to the toilet, and if I go weigh myself, I'm back to 36, 35 and fractions. And then she did the calculation when she was like, okay, let's assume it's 37. My body mass index is 15, which is, if I were living in the UK, they do have a law, and I think that only applies for people with eating disorder, that the families, I'm not sure if that applies for people under 18 or every person. I'm not sure, because there's a documentary about this, and there's the movie based on the story on how the law was passed on, that they would force feed people, literally restrain them, make them bedridden, and force feed them if the family chooses to take action against that person with an eating disorder, or then a girl or a man. So if I were living somewhere else, probably I would be force fed by now. But we don't have that law in my country, so yeah, I'm not force fed. And yeah, and just knowing how bad malnutrition is really triggers so much emotion in me, especially as a single parent wanting to be present for my kids and seeing the effects of it, you know, having extra migraines, having extra weakness in the body because you're not getting nutrition and your body needs it. And the thing is, people don't know this, but some chronic illnesses like cystic fibrosis, also dystonia, which is, I knew this recently, it kind of consumes your energy more, as if I'm working out even though I'm not moving, because of the continuous spasticity and tremors that's happening in the body. So I kind of need to take more intake to gain weight. So it looks like it's going to take more time than I thought to gain weight. So I keep trying to remind myself, be patient, it's going to take time. So to wrap this video up, gentle refeeding is the key now. And I will be starting ENT therapy for swallowing issues and my vocal dystonia tomorrow, actually, and occupational therapy next week. So it will take time, and it will be very interesting to see how I will manage with the pig tube, because it kind of poses a challenge to be able to speak with it in a way, even though you can see my voice is getting better regarding the pig tube, because it was like making my voice like a rat. You know, and it still is funny, but it's getting better. It's getting better than before. I'm getting better at handling it. I'm getting better at knowing how to flush, how to clean it, how to take my feed, and everything of that. So gentle refeeding is the key to my case, and this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting to see how things are going to happen, like in a month, especially that I'm also taking baclofen recently, which will be another update video. Now I've already reached the target dose that I'm supposed to be on, but I'm not sure if I'll need more time to see an effect. Like, is this it? Or do I need an extra week to see, okay, this is the full effect of it? That's why I'll be putting a video after a while for this. And oh my god, you guys gotta you need to remind me to review the shiatsu. I don't know, where is it? There's a product that I got from Amazon, and I need to review it so badly because people have asked me for it, and I've promised so many times I will be reviewing this, but the product is heavy and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to hold it for the video. And because by hands you can see my carpal tunnel syndrome is acting really badly, as it's getting cold these days again. And for dystonia and carpal tunnel syndrome, it is such a big trigger for pain. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this, you know? So this is contributing to me having ineffective subtitles, and I still didn't review the product that I want to review for you guys, which will be a gift because it's going to be awesome. So for the next video, hopefully I will be able to review the product, and I will hopefully review baclofen, and hopefully it will be good. and it will be having a good effect, especially starting occupational therapy soon, and let's hope so. Let's hope so. And I'm so grateful for the support again. And I love you guys so much. Stay warm and safe. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.